Hi there, welcome to another edition of Yoga with Anne. I know I'm like cutting it, recording here right at the end of April. My goal is to provide a pre-recorded class at least once a month. I try to do more if I can. This has been a crazy month for me with work, and my husband and I foster greyhounds. We have a greyhound of our own, and for about a week, we had three greyhounds in our house. So it's been a little bit crazy getting those sweet girls to their forever homes and taking care of them in the meantime. So thank you for joining me for yoga today. I've decided that because it's been a crazy month for me, perhaps for you, perhaps not, that we do a little bit of a gentler practice today. So most of the poses will be lying down. There'll be a little bit of seated. If you choose to stay lying down the whole time, then of course you're welcome to do that. Always remembering to honor your body, right? Honor how you're feeling today, whether you take this class in April, if you happen to take it in April with me, or you're taking it months from now. Really honoring where you are with your body. And not just your body, like your physical body, but your heart, your mind, your breath, all of those things. Be really mindful of all of that as we move through continuing of crazier times, seeing light at the end of the tunnel, but still a lot of unknown and scary stuff going on. And not just with the pandemic, with our own personal lives, other things happening. So just really, I want this to be a place where you feel safe, where you feel welcome, where you know that this time is for you. So please do that. Please honor that as always. Because we're doing a little more of a gentler practice, slightly more restorative, some poses will be held a little bit longer. It won't be quite a restorative class, but props are always good. Right now I'm sitting on a blanket. If you have yoga blankets, that's awesome. If you don't, awesome as well. Bath towels work. So it's nice to have blankets or towels that fold or roll easily. I know in our homes we have sometimes have those big bulky blankets, and those don't quite work as well. They work to cover up, but we need something that we can fold or roll. So at least 2 or 3 towels or blankets, depending on what your other props are. If you have yoga blocks, have your yoga blocks handy. If you don't have yoga blocks, rolled blankets can work. You can also use pillows from your bed, from your couch, cushions, stuff like that. We're going to do something where we need to have our knees supported. And then I also like to have something under my head. So I like a blanket under my head. So you might want to have 3 blankets if those are the props that you're going to be using. And then if you have a yoga strap, have a yoga strap handy. If you don't have a yoga strap, necktie, belt from a bathrobe. And if you just don't have any of those things, scarf will work as well. If you just don't have any of those things, then I'll teach you to do the poses without the strap. We can practice them without. But at least having blankets, towels, that will help you with your practice. So the first pose that we're going to do, how we're going to start our practice today, is a heart opener on a roll, is what I call it. If you have a foam roller, which I'm going to grab my foam roller just for a moment. I don't have the typical foam roller that you might find in the gyms. It's a little squishy. You could use a foam roller if you have it. A lot of people have one in their home. Not required. It's not my most favorite way to do the pose, but a lot of my students like to practice it that way. So you're welcome to use that. If you're going to use a towel or a blanket, open it up to about this position. I know that they're going to look a little different. The sizes will be different. We're going to make our roll like that foam roller, and you'll roll from the long end. And it doesn't really matter which end, but I always put my fringy end at the bottom. My head's going to go up here. Now I know that I like a little more support under my head, so I'm going to take another blanket. When I say blanket, that can mean towel, whatever you have. Also, if you have a long torso or you're tall, having an extra blanket can help to make your this roll longer, depending on how long your roll is, right? And then we'll come and sit right at the edge. So come right to the edge of the roll. Because you might need, I am not very tall, but my torso is a little long, so I need most of the roll to come on down. So your spine is parallel, or you're bringing your spine parallel to the blanket. Adjust the other blanket if you so choose. You don't have to have that. So our shoulder blades are hugging around the roll. And then I'm in constructive rest. I like to step my feet wider and have my knees come together. You might want to stay just in typical constructive rest or extend your legs out long. And then hands go wherever you're comfortable. Give yourself a moment to settle in, making any adjustments. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes, or you can soften your gaze. And start to feel the rhythm, the pattern of your breath here. You're not changing it in any way, you're just noticing it. I adjusted my hands and brought them onto my belly. It's just more comfortable for me right now. It gives me a good connection with that physical breathing as my body starts to slow down, to come to a little bit of quiet and calm. Allowing my chest and heart to open. Reversing negative effects of our sitting culture, bad posture, backs that don't feel so good. As you take in your next inhale, allow it to be a little deeper and fuller. And fully allow that exhale to release. Do that again. One more time. And then I'm going to bring my knees back upright, my feet a little closer together, and roll over to one side off of your roll, taking a moment, press yourself up to seated. Just taking a moment here, we're not going to be here very long, just to notice the effects. Things have already changed, adjusted. I wasn't very long with that, felt really nice. You can hold that pose even longer. 5 minutes is a great goal. You could do longer, you could do shorter, you could set the timer on your phone or in your kitchen. And hold that pose. Helps to open our chests, our hearts, move our shoulders back, because normally we're like this a lot, and so this really helps to open up and release. You're going to come back onto your back in constructive rest. So I like to have support under my head as a pillow. Make sure that your strap-like item is nearby. And a sip of water. Come back down onto your back in constructive rest. With your knees bent, your feet on your mat, making any adjustments here. And then hug your knees into your chest. If you'd like to rock a little bit, move your feet, your ankles, your toes, opening your knees. Excuse me. We're gonna, in a moment, have wider knees, but if that feels where you need to be right now, then feel free. And then if it's okay, start to open your knees a little wider. And I'm actually gonna activate my feet. That's up to you. You can check in and see what feels better. And again, rocking side to side. Feeling your back body connect with your mat. Maybe a little more has connected. A lot of times I have a start in constructive rest and then do that heart opener, and you'll feel a difference from first constructive rest to the constructive rest after the heart opener. All right, back to center and setting Both feet back down on the mat. And then let's hug the right knee into the chest. And right here, we'll just bring our hands behind our thigh and extend your leg up as long and tall as you can. So I have short arms and tight hamstrings, so my leg's not going to straighten, and that's okay. Some of you might find that you're more here, and that's okay as well. Just working with what you have right now. Reaching and pressing through all four corners if that's okay. If you have sciatic or other issues, you can press more through the ball of the foot. And then let's make some movement here. So circling in one direction about 4 times. And then once that's complete, the other way. And then you're going to flex and point about 4 times. All right, and then hug that knee back in and take your strap. So if you don't have a strap, you'll just put your hands behind your thigh again. Put it around the ball or the totally blanking. So not on the arch. So at the back of the foot on the heel or more at the front of the foot, the ball of the foot. And let's keep our left knee bent. You can hold on right hand on the right strap, left hand on the left strap. And we're going to work to lengthen a little more. And you can get straighter here because you have the strap. It's making your arms longer. So even if your leg is like this, but if your leg is straight, that's good. So if you're here, I'd rather you be more here. So check in with that. See if you can relax your hands as much as possible, holding on to your strap that you're not gripping on for dear life. And then bring the strap into your right hand. So both ends of the strap into your right hand. You're going to pick your left foot up. So it's like knee to knee, but this knee is going to stay bent. And then activate your foot. And then we're going to open up our right leg to the right and our left knee to the left. So it's like your right leg is the V and your left leg is a W. Make sure that you're even here. So you don't want to bring like the right leg over and see how I'm tipping. So I want to stay pretty even. So if you've done this pose before, you might not open up as wide. So nice and active here, reaching through your right leg and then reaching through your left knee. I have my left hand on my left knee for a little support. If this is too much, you can bring your left foot back onto the mat. Checking in with your breath. And then your next inhale, bring your legs back together. Set your left foot down. Remove the strap on your right foot and hug that knee back into your chest. You can stay right here or extend your left leg out long on your mat. If you do that, make sure you're nice and active. So this might be too much. And if it is, then you just bend your knee again. Right foot can just kind of relax, or it can be more active, and you can check in and see which is better for you. And then set your right foot back on your mat. Keep your left leg out long. You can, again, if you need to bend the knee and bring the foot to the mat. And then we're going to come into recline tree. So opening your right knee out to the right. Your right foot can touch your left thigh or be a little away. Mine, it feels better for me to be a little away. This might be a lot for you. So maybe you need to come up a little higher. Maybe you need to slide a block or a cushion under your knee or a blanket. We won't be here very long. And you can always just come back to constructive rest if this is too much. You might feel how you're a little uneven here, and so that's okay, but we were trying to keep that even when we had our legs out wide, not tipping more to one side than the other. And then bring your right knee back up, bend your left knee, bring it back to the mat. Let's do a little swish side to side. Hug your left knee into your chest. Bring your hands around your left thigh and extend up long. So I like this support here, even though my arms are really short, like they can barely hold on. It's just helpful for me because I can press my thigh into my hands and work with that to help really activate the muscles in my leg. And then I feel that length happening. Activating your foot, whether through all four corners or more through the ball of your foot. And then let's do some movement circling about 4 times in one direction. And 4 times in the other. And then we'll do the flex and point. And bend your knee again. Get your strap, or just bring your hands behind your thigh once again. Follow the foot or heel and extending up nice and long. Keeping your knee bent, your right knee bent, and making adjustments here. For most of us, not everyone, but the majority of us, the left side is going to be much more intense and tighter. So if your breath is, hindered or you're struggling, that's a good indicator that you're too deep, you're too far, you've gone over your edge. And that could be a matter of, physically adjusting, if you're really connecting with your breath. It could be that you need to come out of the pose. Take the strap into your left hand. Pick your right foot up. Activate your right foot. I have my right arm out to the side, and then start to open up. Left foot to the left, right knee to the right. Making sure you're even, so don't, bring one leg out more than the other. Even it out so you feel pretty even on your low back and sacrum. Make sure that the breath is flowing. Ooh. Nice hip opener. Inhale back up. Exhale, set your foot down. Release your strap. Hug your left knee into your chest. You can keep your right knee bent or extend your right leg out long. You can keep your left foot relaxed or press through that heel as well. And set your left foot down on the mat. We're going to come into recline tree on this side, keeping your right leg active, opening your left knee out to the left. And it could just go a little bit. You can support your knee or thigh. Your left foot can touch your right thigh or not. Mine's not. So it's better for me to not have them touch. If I'm a little more open, maybe deeper in my practice, it might be possible. But typically at the beginning of class, my hips still need a little time to open. For those 2 poses we did before with the leg up in the strap and then opening up, that's great to start to help open up the hips. And then bring your left knee back up. Bend your right knee, bringing your foot to your mat. Hug your knees in again. You can rock, you can move your feet. Giving yourself a few moments here. And then you roll over to one side. Take a moment here. The strength of your hands, press yourself up. Coming back up to seated. And then we're going to do a little bit of seated work, not too long. So I'm sitting at the edge of a blanket, and I'll show you from the side why I like that. So I have terrible posture. A lot of us, this is, what happens, especially now, a lot of people working from home. My home office setup is not the best, and I tend to already not sit great, even if I am ergonomically set up correctly, and I'm not right now. So, we have these habits, and so we're trying to reverse those habits. So sitting at the edge of the blanket, I can still sit hunched, right? But it helps to support me. It tilts my pelvis slightly forward, and then allows me to have my spine longer. So it's just a lot easier for me to sit taller, seated on support. It's not going to hurt you if you don't need it. And then we're going to bring the soles of our feet together. Again, they don't have to touch. So this is like that reclined tree, but both sides. So you can always move your feet farther away. closer, they also can move away from each other. So find the best spot for you. Make sure your knees feel okay. You can always bring them a little higher by sliding blocks or cushions underneath. Sit nice and tall. And then let's do some shoulder rolls. This is a nice way to open the shoulders and remind ourselves. So up, forward, up, back, and down. And like do it really slow and dramatically so you can really feel those sensations. I took a yoga class last night and it was a sub, and she had us break down the shoulder rolls like 4 different steps. It was amazing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I remember this. So I got to practice it before I teach it. But we did each section. Wow. It was like my shoulders were sore from doing that. It was great. One more. If at any time you need to give yourself a break, you can extend your legs out long, do a little wiggle. And then let's do a side stretch. So bring your right hand down and your left arm up and over. So I don't want you to like dump. So think about reaching. So you're really pressing through those sit bones to reach. Make sure that your shoulder's not coming up to your ear. So you're moving that shoulder away. And if you need to adjust your hand, your arm for any reason, please do. I will have to do that on the second side. And then inhale up and exhale down. And this is where I'm going to adjust. I have some shoulder issues. So we're trying to stretch and open this right side. And we're bending in the left, but we don't want to just like fall or crunch. So there's still a lift and then a coming over. And then we'll come back up and exhale down. Let's come into a twist. So bring your left hand to your right knee. Your other hand can stay at your hip or it can come behind you. So I'm actually tenting my fingers because my arms are short, as I've mentioned. And then I'm thinking about making the movement from my belly button and then the rest of my body turns. So low belly, upper belly, chest, and then shoulders. And then head and neck, if that feels right for you. So your back hand and arm are supporting you. You're not like leaning into it. Your shoulder isn't coming up to your ear. You're helping to keep length in your spine and then to move into your twist. Your next exhale, you'll come out of the twist. Inhale. And exhale, start to twist to the left, bringing your right hand to your left knee. Your back hand is either at your hip or behind you. So inhale tall. Exhale, come into that twist, maybe a little deeper. And then maybe the head and neck turn. They don't have to. They could even turn to look over the front shoulder. Your next exhale, come out. Fully inhale and exhale. All right, let's bring our hands on the outside of the knees, closing them like a book. And then step your feet a little wide, and let's do a little bit of seated windshield wiping. So I'm just supporting myself with my hands behind me. If that doesn't work for you, you can have them to the side. You just don't windshield wiper as deeply. All right, we're going to come back down onto the mat. This is where you're going to need support for your knees. So you could use blocks, you could use 2 rolled blankets, you could use cushions, pillows. So the blocks are going to go under my knees, kind of supporting my knees and my thighs. And then I like to have support under my head. So we just did seated Baddha Konasana, and we're going to do reclined Supta Baddha Konasana. So just so you know where we're going. So we'll start in constructive rest. And again, if that's too much, then you can just come and stay in constructive rest. I'm doing exactly what I tell people not to do to get their props. It's like, oh, they're too far away. So again, here, your feet don't have to touch. Because my knees are a little higher right now, it's okay for me. And my hips are a little more open from the work that we've done. You might have to have your your knees much higher, your feet farther away, your feet not touching. So find the spot for you. It's a little more of a restorative pose. We're not going to be here a long time, but it doesn't have to be like the most intense stretch that you've ever done for your hips. If it's comfortable, you can close your eyes. And like one of my blocks just slipped, there is that possibility. Like at the beginning of class, bringing your focus, your attention to your breath. Next inhale, bring it in deeper and fully exhale. My arms aren't quite long enough. You might feel comfortable to assist your knees to come back up. Doesn't quite work for me. Bringing your knees back up, your feet back to your mat. And I'm going to roll over and move my blocks out of the way just so they're not in the view of teaching. You may want to keep a block nearby. Just going to keep it maybe up more near your head. And then pick your right foot up and cross your right ankle over your left knee into figure 4. Sometimes in classes, you pick your left foot up and hug your knees into your chest. We're not going to do that today. If you really want to do that, of course, you're welcome to do that. But think about your right thigh moving away, your right thigh and knee moving away from your right shoulder. So your right foot's nice and active. And then just kind of have your arms comfortable out to the side. We're going to come into a twist. You're going to start to bring your right foot down toward the mat. This is where the block can come in handy. Your foot can float, or you can bring it onto a block, a pillow, something like that, a folded blanket. Adjust your feet and legs if you need to, if this isn't comfortable, it's not sustainable. And to pick our legs back up, we're going to really think about it from deep in the core. And you'll bring your legs up on an inhale. Fully exhale. And then we'll start to bring our right knee toward the right. So what you can hover, you can come all the way down. It might be too much for you to have your right foot on your left knee, so you can remove it. When you bring your legs back up, really think about deep in your core to lift on the inhale. Fully exhale. Remove your foot, coming back to constructive rest. You might find you have to adjust your hips. And let's do the second side. So picking up your left foot and crossing your left ankle over your right knee, activating your left foot, thinking about moving your left thigh and knee away. You could press your hand in it. Just make sure you're not pressing on your knee. It could be more of an energetic movement. So as you're ready, you'll bring your left foot and your right knee toward the right. Again, you can hover. You can have support. Maybe you come all the way down. You can always adjust your arms as well. Next inhale, deep from that core, lifting up. And then let's go over to the other side. So bringing the left knee toward the left. Adjust here if you need to. On your next inhale, deepen that core again, lifting your legs up. Fully exhale, uncross. Nice, making any adjustments. Let's step our feet wide. We're going to windshield wiper. So we're kind of in this position when we went to the second side. So you're going to exhale and move your knees to one side. Then you'll inhale and come up. And you'll exhale to the other side. Just do that a couple of times each side. Finishing up so you're even. So if you're still going, feel free to keep going. Once you're complete, back to constructive rest with your feet about hip distance apart. And then I'm going to roll over to one side. You don't have to come up to get my block. I told you to have it near your head, and then I move mine down on my feet. So we're going to come into a supported bridge pose. If you don't have yoga blocks, your folded blanket can work. I like to do it on the block, but sometimes it's nice on the blanket as well. If you are using a block and you have a blanket, nothing under your head. So we need to keep the natural curve of our neck. So I'm going to show you how to set up with both. I'll show with the blanket first. They're slightly different, not a whole lot, but so you come in constructive rest for either one. If you already know, you're welcome to come into it. Press your feet in the mat to lift your hips up. When you slide the blanket or towel, it's going to support your sacrum, your hips, and your low back a little bit. To come out, lift up, slide it out of the way. You stay in it, that's good for you. With the block, same idea, press up, slide the support. The support does not go under your low back. So like kind of if you were wearing a belt, if you have, pants that were below your belly button. So kind of think about that. So the block supports your sacrum, your hips, your pelvis, but it's not on your low back. If your arms are very comfortable, you can either keep your knees and feet in typical constructive rest or step your feet wide and have your knees come together. That's my personal preference. Slight inversion as your head is below your heart. It's a heart opener, a back bend, a restorative pose. It's one of my favorites. Feels so good on my back. This is a good one to hold for a little bit, especially if you're having back issues. And sometimes the block is too much, right? It's too high. So that's when the folded blanket or towel comes in place. Comes in play, I guess, is more appropriate. This is feeling really good, and this is how you'd like to end your practice. I invite you to stay here, adjust your legs in any way. Maybe you want to come to a little bit of a lower supported bridge if you'd rather use a blanket. I'm going to come out, so I'll step my feet back to constructive rest, press them into the mat to lift my hips up. Slide the block or support out of the way and lower your hips down. And then I'm going to get my blanket again for under my head to come into our final relaxation pose. So if there's a way that you like to practice Shavasana, please do. For my YouTube classes, our Shavasana is fairly short, so I typically stay in constructive rest. But if you have bolster or cushions you want to put under your knees, if you want to pause the video and hold a longer Shavasana, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, please do. You just set a timer on your phone. So making any adjustments, getting into the pose that's appropriate for you today. Closing your eyes, softening your gaze, being comfortable. Just keeping your attention to your breath just for a couple of rounds of breath, and then you kind of let that go and just let yourself be, not doing anything, not thinking about anything. So as soon as you're thinking about something, you notice it and you let it float away. That's going to keep happening, right? Because that's what our minds do. We remind ourselves that we're inhaling and exhaling. However, you'd like to repeat a mantra for yourself, it can be as simple as inhale, exhale. Slowly start to deepen your breath, taking in a slow, long, deep inhale, gentle exhale, moving your fingers and toes, starting with small movements. And maybe bigger movements would feel good. You could do a little windshield wipering, hugging your knees into your chest, stretching. Whatever you need here. Take your time. Eventually, you'll make your way over to one side. Take a pause. You're going to bring your head up last. So you press your hands into your mat, your floor. Let your head kind of hang. And then you bring it up right at the end. It helps to all that hopefully zen quiet that you're feeling stays a little while longer. We kind of jerk our head up. It can go away. We don't want it to go away. We want it to last as long as we can. So come into a comfortable seated position, whatever that is for you. It does not have to be cross-legged. Make sure that you can sit tall and well. If you prefer to come back down onto your back and lie down to close, feel free. If you're comfortable to close your eyes, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze. So bring your hands together at heart center in Anjali Mudra. Keep peace in your mind, keep strength in your body, and keep love in your heart. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed our practice together. My goal is to keep recording one class a month. When I first started recording again for my YouTube channel, when was it, last March? The beginning of the pandemic, I was like, I'm going to do one every week until the pandemic is over. And then it was like, oh, when's the pandemic going to be over? So that was just too much for me. I wish I could provide a new class every week or even a couple of new classes a month. But I do teach public Zoom yoga classes weekly. I have 2 classes a week. So if you're interested in doing live yoga with me, you can email me at therealgofitgirl@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, you can email me. You can put it down in the comments below. You can find me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, Go Fit Girl, and Instagram, The Real Go Fit Girl. So yeah, I want to be here to support you. If you have requests, please let me know. That helps me as a teacher. Sometimes I don't have ideas. I'll always come up with something, but I don't mind questions or observations or requests, or sometimes just a conversation with someone will kind of like, all of a sudden I'll have all of this stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to teach these things. So yeah, so feel free to give me whatever information, feedback that you'd like. I hope you have a lovely day whenever you're practicing this with me, and I hope to practice with you again soon. Have a great day.